It's Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here. Patrick Reusse, Star Tribune columnist, joins me as he often does, always does, I guess would say, on Mondays. Patrick did do a show on Friday last week because of the holiday. So got to get some Vikings talk here. So another week where it seems like almost everything goes right for them. We'll get into that in a bit here too. Timberwolves, we got to get to them. A little bit of Gopher volleyball talk, and maybe a few other things along the way. But we got to. I want to start with the Gophers football team today because they get the big win over Wisconsin, at least in terms of the rivalry. That's a big win. That's 3 of the last 5 now that they've beat Wisconsin after that really long losing streak. But in the context of this season, it didn't matter all that much to me this year, just because of everything that had preceded it and the struggles they've had to capitalize on this season. But they get to the post game, and PJ Fleck, I want to read you his quote and then get you his thoughts. After the game, he's very sensitive. Says, I remember people, anytime they'd see us, would say, just beat Wisconsin, you can stay forever. Just beat Wisconsin, you can stay forever. That was him recalling himself being hired 6 years ago. Well, we've beaten Wisconsin twice, now 3 times, and you all wanted me fired last
Really?
week. No, I don't think we wanted him fired, did we? We just wanted him to coach
Oh,
better.
yeah, we wanted a little more life in the offense. And to me, okay, I got in a lot of trouble. I was battling with the Gopher holders all weekend. But here's the deal. To me, that kid, the quarterback, going out and making plays and throwing the ball down the field, and they open. I kind of predicted that they'd open up the offense
Yeah,
because now they were playing a game that meant nothing, really.
right,
I mean, okay, they can act like it means something, but it doesn't mean anything because you
right.
already messed up a chance to win the Big Ten worst and the Big Ten West, and the worst it has ever been ever. Okay, you were the best. They were the best team in the Big Ten West, and they
Yes.
finished 5-4. They were the best team in the Big Ten West, and it was a sadder reflection on the way they played conservative way they played against Iowa, which allowed that terrible Iowa team to stay in the game and then make a play at the end and win the game. So to me, this reflects worse on Fleck because okay, he might have his quarterback, and that's great for the future. But the fact that they didn't allow the kid to try to do anything cost them the Iowa game. Okay, they ran the ball, but you run a guy 14 times, he might fumble once. And so anyway, I mean, you should Gopher fans should be optimistic because they might have a quarterback.
Yes.
But the fact that this makes the Iowa game look the Iowa result look worse because you had a quarterback who could have made some plays and you didn't allow him to do it because you had no confidence in him and that to make those plays. So to me, it reflects poorly on Fleck. And as far as him, you know what? I'm happier with him actually saying something that's in his that's actually what's in his mind
Yes.
than the usual BS that he gives us after a game. This is the real him that he showed up and said, "Oh, you don't think I'm great, right?" Basically, is what he was
Sure.
saying. You know, beat Wisconsin and I'm great. Well, you know what? When they were mad at you about the Iowa game, and a lot of people were ripping, and even Chip did a good column ripping them, and we all said, "What the hell was this? How'd you manage to lose this game?" Uh, it was, they didn't know you were going to beat Wisconsin, okay, and you did beat Wisconsin,
Right.
and, but it was that Iowa game stands alone, and the fan reaction to that game stands alone, and the public reaction to that game stands alone, and it has nothing to do with you beating Wisconsin a week later. And anybody who said fire Fleck, that had to be just complete idiot Gopher, not Gopher followers, just people who like to say that
Yeah.
about all situations. So it was the idea that he mentioned Heather in this case. So the idea that he and his wife would monitor comments that would say fire him as a, and then he would mention it is idiotic, and all of you wanted this. He's talking to the media too. Was he
Right.
saying that the media wanted all
That
when
was
he said all that? Was he talking about the media?
I don't know. Like it was that was the part that was especially confusing because it felt to me like last week was, like you said, fair criticism for decisions and approaches, not this guy can't coach, get him out of here. It was,
Oh yeah,
and it was, and if he's talking about Twitter, you can do a Twitter search on just about anything and find a whole bunch of people
yes,
saying something, right? Like that doesn't mean that's the prevailing opinion or even the sane opinion. Like nobody in their right mind would say, get rid of PJ Fleck right now. I think he's done a good job, a credible job here.
yes,
I think it's also fair and more than fair to say this year was a massive blown opportunity. And the other thing I would say on what you were saying is I think the other indictment of Fleck and especially the offensive staff is not realizing sooner that Tanner Morgan, for all of his great qualities, for all of his leadership qualities, was the product of a lot of things in 2019 that went right, including having two NFL caliber wide receivers. That they didn't have a succession plan faster for him probably set them back a little bit.
yes. And let's remember at the start of all this with Tanner, the Tanner starting 400 games or whatever it was, it wasn't their first choice. They
Nope.
had that kid was going to be their quarterback because they didn't think Tanner Morgan was a true Big Ten
Right.
quality quarterback. They went with Annexstad, and then he got hurt, and then Tanner moved. Didn't he get hurt of some kind, and
Mm-hmm.
or they gave Tanner a shot, and then that with the 2019 team, they had some stud receivers on that
Yes.
team. They were good. That team was good, and and he played good, but he hasn't played good since. And they went back to Tanner for what game was it that they
It
played?
was, I think it was after the Penn State loss, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
they,
and
they
he
won it,
won a few against they did
but
win
they
some
were
games there
all
in the middle against those kind of when their
Nebraska,
schedule got
Northwest,
softer again.
Nebraska, Northwestern, and everybody. But yeah, I mean, it's just. I think this is the true him. He drives me nuts when it's all on me. It's all on me. Well, what's on
Right.
you? We're not getting into that, but it's all on me. But there was no need for. I think he came out and we found out he is sensitive, so that's okay with me. But they're gonna go to a bowl game, and it probably will be a low enough quality bowl game that they'll win it. And then we'll hear how he's the first coach since 1904 to win 9 games. Yeah, 2 years in a row. And the fact is, so I have to do this every time.
Yep.
1905 to 1941, they only played 8, except for, and then from 1942 to 1964, they only played 9. Okay. The 2 years they played 10, they went to the bleeping Rose Bowl. Okay. So that you cannot go back and all the, say, you can, they do it, but,
Right.
you know, no schedule has changed more than the schedule in football, and so to all this BS about I haven't done this since 1904, blah blah blah. And we can still. I think Wisconsin's the first 500 team they beat this year, right? And
Yes.
uh, they ended up 6-6, and apparently it didn't take Wisconsin long to well, the main reason you read that they fired Paul Crisp because they were afraid they were going to lose Jim Leonard. And then after watching him coach 6 games, they decided we're going to give Luke Fickle $6 million a year to come here from Cincinnati and go on your way there, Jim. So anyway, that was I think as we look at Wisconsin here as our future long-term rival in all sports,
Yeah.
they might have an idiot for an AD. So that's a Barry. Barry created that as egomaniacal and crazed as he was. He created that Wisconsin, upgraded the
Oh,
athletic
sure.
fantastic
Absolutely.
play. And this AD might be a dummy, so that could help, although they have a great volleyball team again and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, yeah, PJ showed us his true colors. He is sensitive. He and Heather are sensitive, and he always has to mention Heather. I think Heather's in charge of the sensitivity, though.
Okay.
I think she's the one who what was the Bowling Green loss, right?
Yeah, there was something. I remember that now.
Went out on social media and retweeted something about it that was on Instagram, and then went after the fans, and then it appeared on Gopher Hole, and the people were going crazy, and then Gopher Hole, being the compliant believers, they pulled it down.
Yes.
Apparently Heather somebody called Fleck, or somebody called and asked them to pull it down, and after she removed it from Instagram. But yeah, they're sensitive. I guess there aren't many coaches' wives who aren't, I would guess. So
take a playcation to Mystic Lake. With 24/7 gaming, the good times never have to end. And you can satisfy your cravings at our restaurants and bars. Or relax in one of our luxurious hotel rooms. Those that play together, stay together. And don't forget to join Club M so you can spark new memories and bask in the rewards along the way. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
That was a good win, though. I mean,
it was, yeah.
For the future, I mean, the quarterback looked good. And, the first thing Wisconsin has to do is change quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They got to get rid of that kid.
You're
down on the 2-yard line. You're down on the 2-yard line. You're going to tie the game. And by the time he gets done, they're on the 25. They got penalties, holding. He won't make plays. It was.
That was the backup in at that point, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they finally had pulled Birch. That's right. Yeah. So but yes. The first thing Luke Fickle's got to do is hit the transfer portal and get himself a Russell Wilson. Right?
Oh, man.
Right. The way the Russell's playing in Denver, they could probably take Russell.
I was going to say, what a disaster that's been. But
back Russell. Anyway, yeah, it was, you just said it, blowing opportunity. This season, no matter what you say, you had the best team in the West, and you aren't going to go play Michigan. And so what the heck? I don't know. What are they going to do? They got Penn State is so clearly better. The top three over there are so clearly better than everybody else. What are we going to have same divisions again next year? They were better. We made fun of it, but the legends and the leaders was way better than this.
At least they had a chance to split teams up how they wanted to a little bit that way, instead of having to do it geographically. I'm sure they're probably just waiting till 2024 to make any real overhauls when UCLA and USC come in. But yeah, it's not great. You're right. I felt like Fleck's post game, it didn't overshadow the win, but it did. This is what a lot of people were talking about, instead of beating Wisconsin for the third time in 5 years, which, again, they had, what was the streak? I mean, they went from 2014 it was 14 in a row, 2004 through 2017, without beating Wisconsin, and then the two they lost.
It's helped. Wisconsin's gotten worse.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, Wisconsin's personnel isn't what it was.
No.
I mean, and they had Wisconsin had an unbelievable run in football. If you look at it historically, this is basically what it was for years and years and years. Us winning about 60% of the game. So
yeah, well, now it's
till his last run here. I mean, Wacky beat a team. Wacky went down there and beat a team that went to the Rose Bowl.
Yes, he did. Was that 93 or 94 somewhere? Yeah, 94.
Most amazing upsets in Gopher history.
But, yes, that was not a good Gophers team, as they tended not to be. I believe the series is tied all time now.
Yeah, it is. It's been pretty dang equal. By the way, we just celebrated the 60th anniversary of the greatest screwing in the history of Gopher.
I saw that on Twitter.
Down in Madison,
yeah,
November, whatever it was. Yeah, that was that to me is when the international referee officiating conspiracy started against all Minnesota sports teams 60 years ago. It was I was all in on the Gophers back then, and that was Bobby Bell and that whole
Yep.
crew. All the roughing penalty on Bobby Bell for no reason. The way they let him knock the hell out of quarterbacks back then, and then Murray went nuts on the sidelines, and they added another 15 yards on it. So
November 24th, 1962. So a few
would have
days
been
ago.
a third straight Rose Bowl. I think we were going to get to go to the winner. Wisconsin won the Big Ten. They both went into that game with one loss. And,
Okay.
the winner wins the Big Ten. And the reason that in 1961 they did not have a deal with the Pac-10 that had any rules about it. They were going to take the champion. The Rose Bowl pack had been the one that didn't allow a repeat. You couldn't go out there and repeat. Boyd that year in 61, and then they started a new pact in 62. And I think the Gophers would have been allowed to go to a third straight Rose Bowl, which back then, when it first started, the agreement after World War II, there was a no repeat rule. So if even if you won a conference 2 years in a row, you couldn't go the second year. So
yeah,
which tells you where the way bowls were back then. There was only 4 of them or 5.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So anyway,
speaking quickly of before we move on, speaking quickly of not what they used to be. You saw Nebraska hired Matt Rule, who could have just made could have had $40 million to do nothing after being fired by the Panthers, but he wants to go coach Nebraska and turn that thing around.
For me, I'm a lot more impressed with Wisconsin signing Luke Fickell and Matt Rule. What is wrong with them down there?
I don't know.
They got to get a Fleck, not the Fleck now, but the Fleck that got hired back 7 years ago. The 38-year guy full of it, who's going to go get you some athletes. You think Matt Rule's going to get the kids from New Jersey to go back to Nebraska like they used to?
Yeah,
you got to have somebody way more dynamic than that guy. They have hired some of the. I mean, I thought Frost would be good, and he turned out to be a complete idiot. But I can't say I was right on that, but they have done the worst job of hiring coaches. It's unbelievable. Pelini, they couldn't wait to run Pelini out. He was a phenom compared to some of these other idiots.
Right.
But it's over for them. They'll never see their glory days again. That's, just get used to the fact that you're just like the rest of us out here in the West down there. And, and you're going to be, you're going to pop up. A good year for you is going to be Nebraska is going to be what the Gophers had this year, 5-4.
Right.
It's over down there, and Matt Rule isn't going to change that.
See, Vikings can clinch the NFC North as early as next week. They won Thursday. We haven't talked about that game on this show because we didn't have a show Friday last week, so we'll get into that. The Lions lost on Thanksgiving. Packers lost last night. And Aaron Rodgers exits the game with a rib injury after revealing during the week last week that he's been playing with a broken thumb. So
revealed an 8-year-old kid or something, right?
Right? Yeah. It was at a charity event that he broke the news, I believe. Yeah, or some. Yeah.
He scooped the world. Some 10-year-old student newspaper kid was talking to him, and he said, I broke my finger. But I watched him some. Yeah, he was. I mean, people like to, he is a bit of a drama queen, but you could tell that he was not good. So he got hit. Right. He was not good. And I think it's good for the Packers. They can play the other kid the rest of the year and find out if they got anything.
Right. And they probably should at this point. I mean, Rodgers is saying he's going to play next week if he's healthy, but they're 4-8. They're even 3 games out of the wild card now.
I think they'll play Jordan Love the rest
I think they probably should too. They've got 5 games left to find out what he's got. He actually looked decent last night. He didn't rally him to the win, but he did throw a touchdown in that game against the Eagles.
Me nuts.
What's that?
Collinsworth drives me nuts. I was watching that game. He throws a little square out pass to the left, and the guy runs it for 4 or 5 yards. That's his first completion. The second one, the touchdown, the guy's running wide open.
Wide open, yeah.
Wide open. And Collinsworth tries to make these look like, boy, he's much improved. These are great throws. What the
right.
hell are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah, Steve Dills could have made both those throws.
Yes.
I mean, it's his need to just be effusive and praise about nothing drives me crazy. And his whole, I've never seen a guy do it. Yes, you have. You've seen thousands of games. You've seen it all. What are you talking about? I've never seen a defensive tackle play a game like this.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. I guess that's the key to success, though. But anyway, yeah, they're done over there. And so if they win, who's got to lose then?
Detroit. The Lions are still in second place.
So if the Lions lose and the Vikings win,
that's over.
That would probably be the earliest championship we've ever had.
Yeah, I don't think they didn't even clinch this early in '98. I don't think so. I saw some graphic yesterday. It was something like, there's been only been 5 teams that have clinched that early if they do it next week, and all but one of them went to the Super Bowl. So it's a good path to be on. The Eagles, though, I mean, the downside of the game last night for the Vikings is, aside from the Packers losing and perhaps that being the end of that, even though it was probably the end already, Eagles win, so they're still a game ahead of the Vikings in that whole race for home field. But
it's not only home field; it's the bye.
The one bye now, yeah.
Play the first week, so that's the advantage. They're not as good as they were early, though. Defensively, for sure, they got a lot of injuries on defense. They got Sue going. They got Sue. They got about 5. Linville Joseph's playing for them.
Yes,
they took him off the scrap heap too, and Sue they took off the scrap heap, and so their defense does not look as good. But man, that Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts surprises me. I had no idea that he could be that good.
You see, they ran for like 360 yards last night.
Did they get to 500? I turned it off after the field goal. But
of total offense, they must have. I didn't see the final tally, but I saw the 363 of rushing yards. That was, a lot of those are Hurts because he runs a lot, but they had a running back that went over 100 in that game too, and then a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, it's But hey, the Vikings on Thursday, I thought that was an important game for them. I know, in the big picture of the division, it probably doesn't matter a whole lot as an AFC game, but it's not like they're quote unquote back just from that game or however you want to say it. But they, you don't want that to become a slide. You don't want to become, you don't want to get in the territory where that's going to get worse. So.
But I know some people were, they let Matt Jones. Well, they did the first half. Matt Jones was great, but I would be optimistic that the defense kicked the crap out of the Patriots down the stretch. When they started putting some pressure on it. They made Matt Jones look like Matt Jones. But offensively, again, this is a team that was shutting teams out, the Patriots, and they moved the ball all along against the Patriots. They made him. They made Belichick. O'Connell's offense really out-coached Belichick's offense. Had him running around in circles. They had Belichick going crazy. But I figured out why they have all these fourth quarter comebacks. They have Jefferson.
He's pretty good.
You can either throw it to him or throw it to the guy that's wide open because you have him. This guy is the phenomenon of all times. He had about 4 more great catches in that game. All you got to do is throw it near him.
Yes.
And he figures out a way to catch it. And Thielen's having a great year because he doesn't have anybody covering him. Half the time he's just wide open. And he's good for him. He can take advantage of that. He knows how to play off Jefferson. But this guy's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I mean, he's amazing how good he is. And, it's not easy to declare, especially when you're celebrating Thanksgiving and you remember Randy Moss running, catching 3 balls out for touchdowns,
Right.
stuff like that. But in the clutch, I'll take this guy. Guy over any receiver I've ever seen play here. And I was talking to somebody the other day, maybe you, when I said, I think the trademark of this team through its entire period, at least in the mid 60s, is having great receivers. And, each era they've had really amazing receivers. And this guy's the best of them all. This guy's unbelievable. And the ones he catches in traffic are just, again, he's bringing down balls that you keep saying, I might get intercepted. He caught it. Somehow he caught it. That might get intercepted. He might caught it. I mean, Kirk made some really nice throws. He made a great throw to Hawkinson down there and kind of to his right when they were moving that one time. And he made a couple other great throws. But boy, with this guy, all you got to do is throw in the general direction. It's incredible how good he is.
Well, that's the thing that Cousins hasn't really been willing to do in the past, is kind of throw those 50-50 balls, which with Jefferson are more like 80-20 balls, right? I mean,
yes.
And that's the thing. Like when you got so much confidence, when you've seen it happen enough that it's probably going to work out, that at least gives you the confidence to keep trying it. And I mean, the one on the winning drive was the perfect example. It was like a 40-yard completion. That ball had to be right there. Jefferson's going to take a big hit. It's like, in front of the safety, but past the corner on a deep route, and it's right there. And Jefferson just kind of like, you just expect him to make that play, even though that's not an easy play to make.
Yeah, and the Patriots' attempt to control him was to double him, and a lot of teams aren't doubling him. They're putting their best D back on him and having him chasing him, but they doubled him most of the night and couldn't stop him. He's fantastic. He should be the Star Tribune Sports Person of the Year. Let's stop being cute. We like being cute with the Sports Person of the Year. No cute. Give it to the best athlete in town, Justin Jefferson.
Well, we'll see. I think the deliberations on that start soon, and the Vikings always make that complicated because the Sports Person of the Year always comes out around Christmas time, and their season's never over at that point. And by the time you pick something, you've got to commit to it, then work on the story, and a lot can happen in a few weeks. But at this moment, I don't think anybody's had a bigger impact on a bigger positive impact on local sports this year than Justin Jefferson. I don't think it's even close. Patrick, let's finish with a couple other things. Timberwolves. Now, everybody was saying at the start of the year, myself included, you got to give them 20 games. And I cheated on that a few times by getting pretty grouchy about how things were going with less than 20 games into the season. But 10-10 after 20. And I think the real problem here, Patrick, is I don't feel like we're much closer to knowing what this team is after 20 games than we were at 0 games. I still don't look at them and say, that's what they do really well, or okay, that's what's gonna work more consistently when they do get it going. They get blown out on their home court again yesterday by Golden State. It's like 3 or 4 home blowouts this year. 25-2 run in the first quarter. I was watching the game. It was 15-15. I went into the bedroom, put some clothes away. I come back out. It was like 30-17. I'm like, what is going on here? It was like that span of 2 minutes. And then the run just got worse. I don't know of any player who's on the court for more bad runs than Karl-Anthony Towns, who just can't stop anything, can't just gets down on everything. I don't know. The identity of this team is still very much lacking in the leadership and the defense, and it's not great. 10-10's not a terrible record, and in the West it might still get you an okay position. But man, this team's not any closer after 20 than they were at 0.
And some of it was D'Lo. Russell played okay for about 4 or 5 games there, where they were winning some games, not all. he was a little better, but I got in the car. I don't know where I'd been, and I turned on the long-suffering Alan Horton. I love that guy. He's been through. We don't give him enough credit for all the crap he's seen as
Yes.
one-man announcing team. And he says, and he's talking about giving up 47 points in the first quarter during the break. I said, what? 47? So apparently that's you're playing that team, which is now starting to, they had a game last week, New Orleans, where they didn't play any of their regulars. They had 4 guys sit, but Steph's making shots again now. But 47 right off the bat, and then 70 some at halftime. I was hoping they'd get to 150, but they kind of slacked it down. But it's I don't know what do you say about them? They're not. There's going to be no glory. We know this already, Mike. After 20 games, there's not going to be. They may be in the play-in. They might get through the play-in tournament like they did last year, but that's it. They're not going anywhere. They're just not going anywhere. I don't think it's going to be. I was thinking it could turn awful. It's not going to be awful, but it's going to be disappointing for sure. And the one thing, a lot of stuff hasn't surprised me. Russell being erratic, Towns being emotional and erratic, but Edwards' lack of involvement at more often this year than
yes.
That's to me, that's a real negative, because he was the guy that he's had some he had some inconsistency before, but it seemed more inconsistency of performance than inconsistency of involvement and effort. And he's unfortunately, I think he's turning into an NBA star. He was a wide-eyed kid, just loved to be there, and now he's turning into maybe not tonight. So
he has an inconsistency of spirit right now. Is what I would say. You just look at the body language and the
Hein, I saw mention that right off the bat. I think it was Hein that mentioned it yesterday, that he didn't look like he was engaged right away at the start. So, but the highlight of that game, how much did you watch? Did you hang with it?
No, no, it was
because when they called Draymond for the technical for being on the bench cheering.
I missed that one.
And the refs all hate him. This ref, and he put his foot on the, he left the bench. He put his foot on the court, so they teed him up.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So then the next time down, when they scored, Steph ran off the bench, ran behind the basket, waved a towel, and walked on the court, basically to get a technical foul, just to taunt the official, the referee. I mean, it was, and he's screaming and hollering and yelling to make sure that
that's hilarious.
Give him a technical, and he and Draymond is laughing hysterically over on the sidelines, because this obviously one of the many NBA refs that hates. I don't know who called it, but that hates Steph. So
hates Draymond, you mean?
I hates Draymond. So he runs over the hey, screaming. The arena's quiet at the time. Half the crowd is left, and he's screaming. So it was a taunting. The NBA, where we can taunt the referees. It was great.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's overall though, this team, I don't know. They got to figure it out. I'm starting to wonder too if Gobert's knee is a little bit not as great as they're saying. They're trying to.
Problem.
Yeah. I don't know.
Meanwhile, Utah's hanging out at the top of the West.
That's right. And they got about 18 draft picks coming their way from the Gobert and Mitchell trades. It's just amazing.
By the way, Tim Connolly's, I just saw this, that Moutier, was Tim Connolly's third first rounder, the 7th pick in 15. And everybody talked, they did a big promotional campaign about him down when he came in, and he was like the hidden gem, the true gem of that draft. He's playing for our Iowa Wolves now. Tim Connolly has a complete bust because he couldn't shoot, but we're giving him another chance. Now he's only like 26. He's down there with the Iowa Wolves. I look at their roster once in a while to see who they're running in and out of, and he's that's where. So anybody who's still optimistic about Tim might want to remember Moutier. I don't know if he's going to be good or bad, but talk about an overreaction to give that guy all that money because he was solve all our problems. I don't know. This is I really let's say I got 10 more years and I'm at 77. Maybe if I'm really lucky, I got 10 more years. I'll never see them be good. Never. I'll never see them be good again. 04 last year. I'll never see it again. It's not going to happen. It's
as good as it's going to get.
2033, and I'm going to be on the respirator, and somebody will be saying, "Yeah, they got beat again." Okay,
maybe next year. Patrick, final thing. Gopher volleyball team gets the 2 seed, 8 overall, I think, in the NCAA tournament. Kind of ended things on an upswing, right? They beat Ohio State and Nebraska over the weekend
on the road, Friday and Saturday. You know what I found out? Something which is great. The volleyball team flies charters during the big season. I did not know that, but that's fantastic. But they made Wisconsin make the same trip, play those 2 teams. And Wisconsin had the late game Friday and the early game Saturday. And they won them both, too. They're 19-1 and defending champions, but the only loss was to the Gophers. But I got one little theory I'll run by you.
Okay.
We love distractions as sports writers our whole lives. This is going to be a distraction.
Yes.
Hugh McCutcheon quits for the team knows why. Nobody else knows. I mean, he's leaving at the end of the year. This should be the ultimate distraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
The youth of America, and especially the sports youth of America, especially the elite sports youth of America, their lives are distraction from about the time they're 11, right? They're in camps. They got people, they're traveling all over the country. If they have a free time, they're doing something on the internet. They're studying. Their lives are distractions. They don't have time to be distracted. They just go out and they do their practice. They go out and get ready to play their next game. They play as well as they can. And they don't sit around and say, boy, he was not going to be with us at the end. That was supposed to be a big distraction.
Yes.
This team has played great. And Landford is, of course, fantastic. But the Carter Booth, Calvin Booth's daughter's gotten really good here the last months, too. So they got great talent on that team. And they should get to a regional. But they're going to have to, when they get to a regional, they're going to have to go play Texas. So, they'll have a second. They could have a second round match against Florida State, though. They're always good. So, this team's got a lot of potential to get back to at least to be in the regional final against Texas. They have played great and recently and ended up with an 8 seed, and that's about right, I guess, because they did have some losses early in the season, but to go sweep Ohio State. Well, one of them was 5. One of them was 5 in the country. The other was 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was two really good teams, 2 really good programs. So,
and I think their third round match would be Ohio State. So,
oh wow, okay.
So I mean, if they get out of their own region, which they certainly should, but it's the best program on campus. It's the best sport on campus for entertainment, and the place will be pretty full this weekend, I'm sure. Friday, Saturday, right? Friday.
I think so.
Might be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, they play back to back, I think. So, anyway, they, congratulations to another great regular season, and now you just hope you don't have any heartbreaking loss before you at least end up in the regional. So
yes, and we also in the media might be guilty of reconstructing the narrative as well, because I think if they would have been struggling down the stretch, it would have been Hugh was a distraction, and now they're playing well. It's hey, they're trying to win one for Hugh.
Yeah, that's right. We can change that. There's some old staples as a sports long term. There's something that never changes. The the concern about distraction has been there for 50 years, I can tell you. And at times it might have been true, but now life is a distraction for the youth of America, and they don't give a damn. They're just okay. I'm a great athlete. I'm a high end athlete, and I'm going to go out and play tonight because I'm a high end athlete, and I'm not going to worry about who my coach is. So
Yeah,
anyway,
that's true. Good universal truths, life lessons at the end from Patrick Reusse. We'll do this again next week, Patrick. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk to. Maybe even a NFC North division title by then, if all goes well for them this weekend. Even though it's still just November right now. Patrick, have a great day.
Oh, by the way, I saw that you want the Jets to go back to.
I was joking, yeah, of course.
But that kid throw for 350. The
Yeah.
guy we heard him threw for over 300.
Mike White. Yeah, that might be the end for Zach Wilson in New York if that was happening there.
God, they hate him.
They hate him so much.
Yeah.
They got 2 yards in the second half the other week. That's not good. All right. We'll see ya.